Okay, we're going to have some fun this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't just about a boring old speech the mayor of the city of Moscow is going to talk about. We're going to talk about some fun things and have a good time. We're going to have, at the end of this, we will have some time for questions from the audience, which I really hope you tell us as we're going, or ask me, so we can talk about a lot of different things. I'm going to fly through some of this material pretty quick, and others I'll spend a little bit more time on, but I have a finite set of time, and I got to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. I was ready to do this at 5:30 this morning, and so I'm so excited. I'm like the racehorse ready to get out of the gate and get going, because this is about our city, not only our city, but our university, our county, so on and so forth, because I feel so excited about being here and delivering this message to all of you, so it's great. This right here was our art walk in June of last year. We're going to have more to come, and it's going to be awesome again this year. And so I'm very much looking forward to that as we go along with things. These 6 people right here helped make it happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to share something with you. We've got a wonderful council member here with me today. 5 out of 6 of our counselors were with me the last week of January down at the Association of Idaho Cities. That was more of a representation than any city in the state of Idaho. How about giving them a round of applause for that? That's a big deal. I mean, the only one that couldn't make it was she was tied up with work and couldn't be here. But I got to tell you something. That's an exciting thing. I had legislators all over our state that I got a chance to talk to that made a big deal out of it. We had more representatives from our council there than the city of Boise. That's a big deal. What that does is it shouts it out about Moscow. Yep, Earl, you're right. That's a big deal for us. What we do collectively, now listen, we work together to get a lot of things accomplished, and you're going to see me throughout a bunch of these slides that we talk about today. That doesn't necessarily mean we agree on everything, but we get things done, and that's the catch about it. Working to move our city forward and other things, and so I am very honored to work with these 4 ladies and 2 men. It's awesome. Okay, also I want to give a couple of shouts out. I want to talk about city staff. Street guys, they're back there in the back. Hey, these guys have been working their tails off. Back there, these guys, you know, they don't let me run the road grader yet, which is probably a good thing. Can you imagine me out there at 5 o'clock this morning, zooming around, thinking about this talk that I'm going to give today, running a road grader? Well, boy, would I be clipping the cars, the mailboxes, and everything else. So it's safe. They got the goods, they got the professionals out here. But not only our street, ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, our entire team at the city, and it doesn't matter whether it's streets, whether it's parks and rec. Oh, by the way, Parks and Rec does all the trails, the pathways, the sidewalks, and those types of things. They're doing a wonderful job for us. Community development, doesn't matter if it's a water treatment plant or a sewage treatment plant. Admin, doesn't matter if engineering. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a wonderful staff, and I always put a plug in for them because it's our staff in our city that makes the mayor look good as well as counselors, and we're all part of it. It's part of the team effort, and we have an army of people that make this happen for us, and it's a big deal. Collectively, we work together to get a lot done. And so with that, I wouldn't want to shy on not saying that, so it's my hats off to the entire city staff. Okay, let's take a glance at 2018, what happened in 2018. Here's right here, ladies and gentlemen, it was a very, very warm day in August. Warm. I thought it was too warm. Well, today it looks pretty good, considering what we've been dealing with this month. This right there is me and there's Kathy, and we were at the mayor's golf tournament. I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but here's some of the things that went on. There's a ton of stuff, and I'm going to zip through some of these things very, very quickly. But one of the things I don't want to miss is right here, Monsters Annual Block Party. We started doing this 6 years ago at the University of Idaho. Hey, President Stevens and the staff from the university, they're part of this collective team where we collaborate, we work together to get a lot of things accomplished, and that will continue, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to go away. We're all in this together. So with the Chamber of Commerce, the University of Idaho, Moscow School District, Lake County, and the city, we can get a lot of things accomplished. So we're going to see that as we go through these slides. You're going to see a bunch of different things that we've been able to accomplish. And it's a collective effort as we go along. Our Winter Carnival will happen on November 30th. I'm kind of going backwards here. It was wonderful. We had a record amount of people and floats and exhibits during that lighting night that we had, and a very fun event for us. If we go back to Snowball, I want to share a word about that for a minute. That used to be the father-daughter dance, or father-daughter tea, or something like that. And they changed that this past year to the Snowball so that it didn't matter if it was a mother with a daughter, or a dad with a daughter, or two dads with a daughter, or two moms with a daughter. Does that make sense to you? And so it's kind of a cool thing. It's kind of a change of times for us, ladies and gentlemen. That's how we move forward with things in this wonderful, diverse community that we have. And then, of course, there's the art walk and all these other things. Moscow Arts One, coffee with the cops. That's always a big deal for us. We heard it was just a little bit ago about coffee with our legislators, which is a big deal as well. For those three legislators that we got, ladies and gentlemen, it's kind of nice because I got to share with you the last 6 years that I've been the mayor, we've got a better collective group of 3 people working together to get things done for North Idaho than we've ever had. And you can be proud of that. Go down to the chamber and talk to these folks. They're really terrific in helping us out. Okay, Jen, I want to talk also about the airport. The runway, ladies and gentlemen, will be open October 19, 2019. Our airport executive is back there. And Tony talked to me a few weeks ago. He was a little bit nervous about our government shutdown because that affects FAA and grants and all this and all that. I said, Tony, there's not a damn thing we can do about it. It is what it is. We're going to move forward. And I said, my guess is, ladies and gentlemen, it'll all come out in the wash. And away we go. So we're in good shape, Tony, huh? Well, I'm telling you something, ladies and gentlemen, that airport gets done, 2019, that's a big deal for us, for our whole area, both the entire Palouse, both counties, both cities, both states, and our friends over in Pullman are great to work with. They just had to throw a plug in and share that with you. Okay, let's go on to strategic planning. How do we make these things happen? And what you're going to see, ladies and gentlemen, we started this process 5 or 6 years ago, and the things in green on Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, we've got 2 types of strategic planning process. We've got external, we've got internal. This is external. These are some of the things that we needed to accomplish, like deteriorating pavement conditions. So you're going to see a graph up for a bit we're going to talk about. For example, that was Tier 1. These were what we thought very serious things: deteriorating waste collections, declining employment base that weakens the economy. Of course, what happens here too is that now we're at an extremely low unemployment rate, which makes it tough for employers to hire people. You know, it's a double-edged sword. It's a good time. It's a good when you have that, because that means you're not in the middle of a recession. You know, so life is pretty good when you have that. The second tier, you know, diverse business, transportation, infrastructure. We talked about the airport project, declining water, PBAC, and these guys are hitting their act together. We know on PBAC, we know what we need to do. Guess what? We just need to do it now. The solution's there. We've got the options. We don't need to talk about water anymore. What we need to do is fix it. And that's what I'm going to push for this fall. And we've got a great group on PBAC, the Police Basin Aquifer Committee. Okay, let's go to 3 tier. Here's some more. Farmers Market, currently unsustainable where it's at. We needed restructuring on this. Now you may say, well, hey, you got some in 1, some in 2, and some in 3. Why aren't you getting all of 1 done, then 2, then 3? It's because it's kind of a mix mash. Things come along that's easier to do. Some of it's about funding, of course. And so you work to get the whole sum done. Back in the day, we used to have what they call goal setting. Drove me nuts as a counselor. We'd have 70 or 80 things on the blackboard and all this warm and fuzzy stuff about what we should do, what we shouldn't do. And guess what? Most of it we didn't get done. This is a structure, and you're going to see through the presentation today as I speak what we're actually getting done. You'll see. Okay, Jim, let's go to internal things. Internal things that we have sought after. Insufficient law enforcement staffing to meet the demand we got. I got to tell you right now, we're down about 4 or 5 officers that I know of, and we're working diligently to fill those. But I got to tell you something about our professional police department here. They don't just take anybody. You have to go through a rigorous interview process to make it as one of our officers, because we do not want to have any loose cannons out there. We've got a very good professional police department, ladies and gentlemen, to make it happen for us. And with that, here's some of the things in this internal area. School Resources Officer, McKinsey, Fosberg, wonderful job. We got another one that we're putting on. Forensic Detective Eric, or Forensic Detective, is he here today? Director today? Roger, he's working. Well, that guy's always working because guess what? He is catching some of those people that we want caught. And he's done such a great job, the state of Idaho has gave us a grant so that they can utilize him because there's been other communities that have been able to, off of his work and our police department's work, that have been able to catch some of these folks that we need caught. Well, we've got a second one, a second forensic detective, and that is a big deal for us because what that does is it makes our community a safer place. Not only that, entire North Idaho, parts of Washington, even into Montana. That's a big deal, ladies and gentlemen. High school explorers, that was something that McKinsey started, where high school kids can become explorers and talk about the police department, and that's kind of open to all high schools in our area. It doesn't matter if it's here in Moscow or if it's Troy or Potlatch or wherever. Those sort of things are a big deal, and of course our reserve program, that is up and well and running, and that will continue. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a big thing for us. And so you'll see how I'm going to tie this in as we go along through the presentation today with other stuff. But then you can see some of the other things that we have. You know, we talk about the police department itself. You know, and we're going to get more into depth on that. I'm going to give you some history on the police department. We got a 2019 bond election coming up in May that we're going to talk more about that too. And I hope you all get as excited about that as I am. Aging and deteriorating emergency fire apparatus. We're going to talk about the fire department as well and some of these others. But like I said, keep in mind now, if any of these things up here you see you want to ask about, we're going to have that question and answer period, so there's going to be plenty of time for you to say, oh, Bill, by the way, how about this or how about that? We'll talk about it. I mean, I am fair game up here. Like I said, we're going to have some fun. You can have some fun. Joe, let's go to the planning process. Some of the samples. Here are some of the successes that we've had. Investment in paving condition, $1.3 million. Well, when was that? That, ladies and gentlemen, was last year. That was in our budget 2018 right here. The city coughed up $815,390. We got $477,450 with the grant funding with some total, so $1.3 million. That was fantastic because that's the most we've ever had. Is Elisa here anywhere? Elisa's back there. She's our grant writer. She constantly is working on getting us grants for whatever. It's our God-given right to get every single thing we can. Make it work. The catch is that we're putting it in smart places and making it work for our infrastructure. And this is working, ladies and gentlemen. Fire apparatus, oh my God. Chief Nickerson's back there. We bought a new fire truck. These bad boys cost $542,000. That's a pretty penny, isn't it? I got to share with you. 5 years ago, Gary Regner and I talked, and Gary said to me, we need to go offer a bond for fire trucks. I said, you got to be kidding me. He said, no, they're all getting old. And I said, why in the world do we do that? Why aren't we figuring this out in our budget? This is part of the strategic planning process. I said, we need to figure out how we can buy a fire truck every 2, 3, or 4 years in our budget. We've got 4 of these things, and so that we can augment them as we go around, and as they depreciate out, as they still have some value. How about after having one of these things for 10 or 12 years, don't wait till they're 20 years old and can't get parts for these things, and they're obsolete. How about if we have these like 12 years, they got some residual value left in them, and then we can sell them to a smaller community like a Potlatch or a Genesee or a Troy. Does that make sense to you, ladies and gentlemen? With this kind of focus, we were able to do that. And by the way, we got our second engine coming because our grants writer found a $289,000 block grant for us. We had to finance it up front. Well, how did we manage to have the cash for it? It's because of this, folks. So we had fire truck number 26 arrive in June, and we got a brand new fire truck coming at the end of April or first part of May. I guess it's going to be number 27. It's identical. Now, it took a long time to get the first one built, well over a year because of the different specs. And these are built in Florida, by the way. It took a long time to get this information back and forth and back and forth. Our guys had to make several trips, making sure we got the right stuff. The second one, which is exactly like the first one, we didn't have to make those trips. And so they're able to build this thing a lot quicker than the first one. And so here, by this summer, We're gonna have 2 really new fire trucks, and we're gonna keep the process moving. That is a big deal for us. That's out of planning, priority budgeting, and using our resources the best that we possibly can. Public information, community engagement, 8,754 web visitors, and I gotta share with you. I'm not much of a tech guy, but we got people, I know Zach's back there somewhere, he's one of the best, but we've got a wonderful website, and we get all kinds of good hits. We got 6,388 Facebook followers. I mean, that's a pretty cool thing. This is all part of the process. Excuse me. Okay, let's go on to the next one. I must just get the page. Okay, here's something about pavement improvements. This is what I told you earlier. This is what we actually said. I said 1.3. It was 1.29 to 840. That's what we spent on paving. And here's some of the process. Pavement management program, Mountain View, this overlay and grind. Oh, by the way, side bar tractors back there in the back. This thing happened. I mean, that was like a goat trail down there by the ball fields, and then all the way up to 6. Remember all the holes and divots and bumps and bruises you got when you drove? You had to go way out here or way out there, and the other line of traffic and zoom back over there. This took about a 3 or 4 day process. I couldn't believe it, how quick it happened, and I was flabbergasted and went down. I said, who's in charge of this thing? It turned out to be Scott. So that's what I'm talking about, the army of people that make things happen. This, ladies and gentlemen, isn't the mayor. This is the folks that work behind the scenes to get things done, because I always challenge our staff, especially the management staff, we can all do just a little bit better. Every single one of us can do a little bit better, and it starts right with the mayor and goes all the way down. And where in the world did I learn that? Chuck Staven. A couple of years ago. He and I had a conversation one day, and President Staven said this is one of the things he addressed. I thought, I am going to steal that line because it's too good not to. True story. And of course, we got bike lanes up by the high school. Look at these guys. Now there's the workers. These guys don't get up in front of people and talk like I do. They just get the job done. And we've got a bunch of good people to do this sort of thing, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to the next one, Jenny. Okay, now, I talked about streets, I'm bragging about streets, I'm bragging about the money. Look at this, is not me bragging about Bill Lambert, folks. This is about our staff and what we're doing. This is what we do, the strategic planning, priority-based budgeting. And you can see it right along through here. Look at this. This is where we're spending about $200,000 a year in and year out. Popped up a little bit, stayed in the 200,000 range, and there was 346. But then look what happened here. Boom. What this is this was a raise because of the strategic planning, and we knew we had to get more street work in than we've ever had before. And then we started spiking up. Well, yes, we got a gas tax that added to it a few years ago. You all remember that? It cost whatever, 7 cents a gallon or whatever it was. Well, let me tell you what that extra gas tax meant. That meant $240,000 roughly for our city. And it went right into roads. But if you add that amount to these prior to that, look what's happened. 700,000. This is the current year we finished. 815,000. This is this year. This is 2019 budget. First time ever, $1 million out of our budget. $1,095,000. That's a big deal because we know this is what we need to do to get our roads and streets built up to where we're at. Are we going to get them all perfect? No. Is it an ongoing process? Yes. And I use this statement all the time. You can relate to it today. It's like an Eskimo with an ice pick, chipping away at an iceberg. A chunk at a time, a chunk at a time, a chunk at a time. And you never give up and you keep on going every single year. That's the difference about making sure you get things done. But this is where the money's going. I love that slide. It's one of my favorites. One thing about numbers, ladies and gentlemen, they don't lie. It doesn't lie. There it was. Okay, fire apparatus. And of course, I've already talked about this, about the grant that we've got recently for our next fire truck. But here's what these things cost, $545,000. I mean, they're spendy pieces of equipment. Of course, one thing that we know we need to replace eventually is our ladder trucks. And those ladder trucks are like $1.2 million. But the university are always partners with us, and they're going to pay for half of that when the time comes that we replace that. That's how we keep our community safe. And by the way, 127 years of volunteerism on this fire department. What do you think of that? 127 years. Look at that new truck. Do you think that guy's happy and this guy's happy? These guys work hard. I use that generically. We got wonderful men and women on our fire department as well as our emergency crews. This is a big deal for us as a town. Anytime I'm at Boise and I'm on District 2 for board for AIC, whenever I'm in Boise, you cannot believe how many different mayors ask me, how do you get it done? And I say, I don't get it done. We get it done. Does that make sense to you? But these, ladies and gentlemen, this makes our community safe. These men and women need the most updated, safest materials that they need, whether it's a fire truck, whether it be tanks, oxygen tanks, or whatever. We need to stay right up, and because it's a safety issue, and I'm big into that. It's a big deal for us. 127 years old, isn't that amazing? I get goosebumps thinking about that. Man, I feel like I'm already hot. I have to take my coat off here pretty soon. I'm getting wound up, folks. Jiminy Christmas. Well, yeah, if you're not a little bit excited about that, something's not pumping through your veins. Right here, public information, community engagement. You know one thing about our community, we are a very engaging society here in Moscow. And I love the people there because they tell me whatever they want to tell me. And sometimes you hear things that you not necessarily want to hear, but the thing is we've got a great diverse community and it's part of our process. Now, a new website we came up with, and I'll tell you what, I got to admit to you, I was amazed by this. These are these new kind of videos and all this stuff. My grandchildren can run me through this stuff and really explain it to me. They did a good job of doing that. But this is pretty neat. I don't know how many people have been on our website, but we've got a lot of information. And this thing is updated all the time. Videos and different videos. There's a guy right out there. Not even me either, by the way. That guy knows what he's doing. And social media, look at this. 6,342 fans. Gosh, I kind of like that. Reaching more than 14,000 depending on the post. And probably depending on what's going on in the city as well. Okay. Parks. Oh my God. Look at these. Is Calvin Macy here? Anybody from Parks and Rec here? Raise your hand. Oh, they missed an opportunity. I'm going to brag on them a little bit here. These are the different parks and places. We talk about this all the time. And look at all this. Indian Hill, Morgan's Orchard Alley, the ice swing at East City Park, Loyola Clyde sign dedication, Edible Forest Park, Blackbird Station. Ladies and gentlemen, when I get over there, we had 8 locations designated for parks. Some of those have been designated for a couple of decades. Isn't that amazing? A couple of decades. And all we grew in were weeds. And so I said a challenge that I thought would be kind of cool is why can't we have these neighborhood parks? Why can't we plot down some grass, have a pathway through, a few benches, and see what happens and go from there? A playground for the kids, because after all, parks are for kids to start with, right? Well, we've had some generous donors. Indian Hills, Bill Parks, he donated $40,000 on the lot right here. And with the Thompson folks on this particular development, we were able to get a corner lot, and that was through the generosity of those folks. Very nice park. We dedicated that last year. Morgan's Alley, right off of Orchard Avenue, and cool little park there. This ice swing for the kids. And by the way, this ice swing, how this all came about was the school district's got a group called the Buddy Club. Anybody hear of that? The Buddy Club? Anybody from the Moscow School District here? Well, they can be, these kids, I love them, I'm proud of these. They came to one of our council meetings one time, and they had earned, I don't remember exactly what it was, over $5,000 for this swing, and asked if the city would kick in the rest to make it happen. These are kids that went out and actually got money and did different events to get this. And that's how that ice swing for handicapped kids happened. That, ladies and gentlemen, we did that dedication last fall. If that wouldn't bring a little bit of tears to your eyes, it's amazing to see the folks that can use that. It's a big deal for us. These other things, Loyola Clyde Park, that thing has been dedicated, I don't know,
for years and years and years. I don't even know the history on it, but we finally got a sign up. We're doing some things there with that. The edible forest, which is part of it would be the west side of Indian Hills. And Blackbird Station. Blackbird Station used to be called Blackbird Crossing. Oh my God, I can remember when I was on council in the 2000s, we talked about this thing, we pulled around, we had donations, we had money in the coffers, never enough to quite get it done. But one of the questions they asked our Parks and Rec guy, how come we can't take what money we have in that thing, piggyback it with other jobs, and get the site prepared and get it ready? And that's exactly what happened in 2017, and in 2018 we finished this thing off. It turned out to be a beautiful thing, and of course it's being named Blackbird Station. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is we're making some huge headway. And these parks, by the way, as we put these together, these sets right here, Calvin Macy is a certified engineer on putting these things together. I don't know his exact title on it, but he is qualified to do this. And every time we put one of these things together ourselves, the Park and Rec Department, we save between $12,000 and $18,000. Every single one of these. Now, isn't that about thinking about doing something a little bit smarter, and we've got our own people that can make sure that these things get done? This is a big deal for us, ladies and gentlemen, and it works. And so that gives us money. You may say, well, where would you come up with the money for a fire truck or money for other things, streets or whatever? It's not being smart about how you do it. Strategic planning and priority-based budgeting. We're not using that much more money. We're doing smarter things with what we've got to do for the community. And the people that have these in their area, they can plant a tree if they want. They can donate a tree. We've got people doing that. And guess what? When it's in your neighborhood, it becomes your park. And you will police it. And if you see somebody out there doing things you shouldn't be doing, you're going to do something about it. You're going to say something, or you're going to get a hold of one of our fine officers to come down and check this thing out. That's about community, folks, and that's about neighborhoods, and we're going to continue this process in every one of our neighborhoods as we go along. Okay, I love pie charts. This tells you kind of where property taxes go for $1. Oh, by the way, we get, City of Moscow out of property taxes, we get 26 cents out of every dollar roughly, and that's what this is here. It shows you that 26.5 cents, like our county 23, our school district 35, city bond, we'll talk about that, 0.8, cemetery district, so on and so forth. This right here, this was the old bond. We did have an obligation bond on the HERC, and that was retired last year. We paid it off last summer. So we have no general obligation bond debt. Yes, we've got a revenue bond with the sewer treatment plant, but the fees for sewer pays for that. But that's kind of cool. We got no debt there. I just wanted to share that with you. This right here is the annual increases over the last 10 years, what we've taken as a city. We can, by state law, we can add 3% onto this 26% base I talked about. And these are the years we took anywhere from 0 to 3%, depending on all the way up and down all over the ladder. When we don't have something, that means we do have stuff in reserve that we can go back and use. And we did that a few years here. And the reason we did that is we had some big projects going along. The airport was one, paving was another. We wanted to get our streets and things up to standard. But we've been working on this and we're moving forward with it, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, that 3% represents about $160,000 if you're just interested. I'm a numbers guy, I love it. That shows you where everything goes. Right here, $174,129 paid in full in 2018. That bond is gone. How are we doing on time, Jenna? Doing okay? Okay. Here's some of the residential activity. You can see from 2000 all the way to 2018, not quite 20 years, up down. Right here was in the glory days. This is when if you had 2 arms, 2 legs, blood going through your body, you could get $200,000 with no questions asked. And look what happened, because zing. we hit a peak, we hit a bottom, and the people were leveraged, and all of a sudden things came around, and it was ugly for a few years. But we're working our way back up and back out of it. And I can remember one time back here, I got something in the mail. You can get 125% equity on what your house value was worth. I couldn't believe it. Anybody else besides me see one of those back in the day? Nuts. Absolutely nuts. Anyway, we're chewing along, we're moving forward. This is where we're at right now, and the residential building activity continues, folks. I think the next one's commercial. Same thing with commercial. It was high and it went down. This was the peak. This was, I don't remember what that was, Bill. What was that? Remember back in 2014, 36 or 7 million bucks. Don't know. Something. It was a big peak. But anyway, you take that out, we're continuing moving along, ladies and gentlemen, we're marching forward. Now look at, one thing I do want to say about building, we want to be consistent, we want to continue, you want to have continued growth. I've said that whenever I ran for mayor, is we need to keep plugging along. Our population raises about 1% a year roughly. We need to keep that population growth moving forward. And how we do that with our flying businesses, not only the University of Idaho, but companies like Schweitzer Engineering, so on and so forth, EMSI, and some of those groups, we need to keep building up and keep going. We've got to move our community forward. And part of the infrastructure and things I'm talking about today has a sign on that. Because as we're moving it forward, we're progressing as a city. We don't need huge growth. Huge growth would kill us. And I'll give you an example. You take Meridian, for example. 25 years ago, Meridian was 10,000 people. Moscow was way bigger than Meridian. Right now, it's 106,000. What do you think of that? 106,000. When you have that kind of growth, it's tough with all the infrastructures on the street, sewer, schools, and so on and so forth. You want to plug along and move forward, and I think we've got the right mix to do it. I'd like to see this get a little higher. I mean, 2% growth would be great. I don't know if we'll get there or not, but we'll keep working on it. Okay, current building activities. Northwest River Supply, both the old Titans building. This thing is huge. I don't know if you folks have seen this. We've got these big, huge walls, and it's impressive. They are doing a wonderful job in that expansion. That's a big deal, too. Tourist Analytics purchased a couple additional lots in the technology park to grow on. MZ proposing to purchase 4 lots to move their campus up. And EMSI, I know I've talked to Andrew several times, when they started off, when they took over the old newspaper building, and they had 50 people, and they knew they were going to need to grow up to 100. They're talking about going up to 200 person campus. These are great paying jobs, ladies and gentlemen, doing things. Everything you do helps, whether it's building a new house, building a new neighborhood, money for a school, money for a police department, whatever. This is how you work getting these things done. Mod Pizza, the old Jack in the Box, we finally got rid of that eyesore. When I came crashing down here a few weeks ago, isn't that good? Looks better level than what the old building looked there for a while. But now we got something coming in. Mod Pizza, and there's something else besides that coming. Idaho, a community credit union, huge, huge business that I'm so happy they're coming to town. They're going to be very close to the University of Idaho, taking over with a Nissan and Ambassador. In fact, they got their work rig out there now. They're going to get going on this thing. I talked to their Northwest or North Idaho person that's in charge, Doug Jaworski, about this. This is huge for the University of Idaho because these are a huge sponsor for that new arena we've got going on campus, which is going to be wonderful for the University of Idaho as well as our town and North Idaho, because there's nothing like that that's going to happen in the state of Idaho. That's a big deal for us. Then we see where else 36-unit condominiums going there. This is part of the process we keep going. These are things you're going to see happening this year, folks. Okay, a little bit of... We should have a prize and let somebody guess what this is. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a drawing of what we're going out for our 2019 bond. This is a new police station, and boy, have we done some work on this. We've been spending the last 4 years through the strategic process of trying to figure out where we can put this thing, what it's going to cost, so on and so forth. I'll give you a little history. Here was our populace back in 1960, 11,000. Remember I talked to you about Meridian? Can you imagine that from there to both 1980, it'd be 100 and some thousand. Look at our growth. 1990, 18,005. Currently about 25,146. We'll be closing in on 26,000. Point I'm trying to make here, folks, look how this is escalating up. right there is the corner of the police station. There used to be a glass company at one time, and prior to us getting back in the old days, it was actually a dairy, Quarters Dairy. Kind of an interesting thing, but this is the history behind this. Things have changed, and it's kind of nice. But anyway, let's go to the next slide, Jen. Here's the issues and challenges for this thing. We know, as we go with the bond, we've been growing over the years and we need to move forward. Some of the things that we need to work on, we know that we need a new police station. I'm saying this from me now, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta be very, oh, by the way, I've got to be careful. I can't have a rah-rah thing. Am I favorite? Well, you guys guessed it. I won't say any more on that, but we'll move forward on issues and challenges and things that we want to do. Look, I operate in the gray area all the time. Everybody knows that. So I'm going to be a little pushy on this. Yes, I am, because it's so huge for everybody. Some of the things we want to do, we need room, we know we need room. For 4 years we've been figuring out where to put this thing, and we've had numerous sites. One of the sites was the federal building. We looked at that and we spent a full year and did our due diligence. We spent a bunch of money on engineering and different things to see if that was adequate, if that would work for us. And actually, it would have been a wonderful location, but boy, would it have been a money pit. And we wouldn't have got the bang for a buck. And at the same time, Gritman really, when they got down to it, didn't really want to sell it, which is fine. They used that and they've got all kinds of ideas what they're going to do with that thing. But we spent a full year. That was 1 year that we took up on. We also looked at the recycling center, and I showed you that where that blue apartment is. We looked at that for a while. So we looked at areas, and we finally discovered a good site that made sense for us, that was easy for us to get in and get out. That 4th Street spot is very difficult. We're gonna, man, you know, you go in one way, you gotta go around a cul-de-sac, go back out another way, or go down an alley, and so on and so forth. But, you know, it's not just needing what we need for a police department. We also need more room for engineering, for community development, for so on and so forth. So we know that we can take, as we're going along, and we can, part of our master facilities plan that we're working on, we know that we can move forward on this. And it's a smart thing. You're going to see some numbers I'm going to share with you here in a little bit. But we can kill 2 or 3 birds with one stone. Do we want to just build a police department just for a police department? No, we don't want to have a police department. We want to take that old deal. We want to do similar. We want to remodel. We want to fix it so we can utilize that space. We also want to take a 3rd building, the man building, and do something with it so we can spruce it up so it's up to snuff. So it's about taking old properties, refurbishing those old properties that we can use for decades and have a new police department that we can have for decades and move our community forward, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, here's the stuff. New police department. This is what we're going after for the bond, and this shows you. It's going to be north, where the location is north of Pape Machinery. I always say that word wrong. I always want to say PP, but it's Pape. So, I'll get it. I get the E and A changed around there. 4th Street building, that's the old police department. This is what we know it will cost us to remodel it, and refurbish it the way we need to. This is the old Paul Mann building. It needs spruced up, and painted, and repaired. This is what our bond financing costs. This is the total cost of the project. And this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is 2.21%. That is a killer rate. How could we possibly get that good of a rate? Well, one thing is we don't have any general obligation bonds. The other thing is we're AA minus rating as a city. We've got good credit. And our bonding ability is, well, we are not over leveraged. We're not leveraged at all, but we're not over leveraged. We got $22 million worth of stuff that we can go out for. And I was very interested personally to go with a 10-year bond, and you'll see some numbers here. Well, why would you want to do that? It's because, number one, I don't want to be over leveraged. I love the amount that we're going to pay on this thing and as we're moving forward. It's going to be terrific. We need to keep going with our projects. We need to keep our city moving forward, and we got to be forward thinking. And we got to be smart about how we do that. Okay, Jim, what's the next one here? Okay, here we go. This kind of lays it out. I've talked to a lot of people personally about this. I say, and when people are interested, if you have a house, what does it cost me? How much does it cost me a year? Well, we've got this $100,000 exemption thing. So let's say, we're missing a zero there, it's 200,000. If you had a house that was $200,000, this is what that cost of that 2.21 bond. I'm talking about $84.57. And you can go right down the line, and this is on assessed value that we get from our county. Not what you think your house is worth, or not what your neighbor necessarily sold theirs for, because it may be much more than that, who knows. But this tells you it's assessed value. So you can see $300,000 house, exemption, takes it down to $169.14. So and we got, by the way, we're going to have sheets of this at the back of the room that you can pick up and take home with you. Take these with you so you can study them. Because this is exactly how this thing, what it's going to cost and where we're headed. Now this is not, may not be to the exact cent, but it's going to be pretty doggone close. And we got our best person on that, Bill Lambert, and put the heat on him about get this thing right. I think he's done a wonderful job about putting it. But this is a big thing. How much is it going to cost me? Why do we need it? Anybody here besides me been in the police station? I haven't been there and besides the cops. Okay, well, not very many. You know why? It's because usually you're either an officer, or you're an official like myself, or you're a bad guy, or you're a victim, right? Oh, well, it's true. And so what I need every one of you to do is go down and look at our police department and see for yourself. This thing has been remodeled, and I kind of skipped over that. Jen, is that on our next slide? I want to talk about the history of that. Did we zoom by it, or did I go by it? Okay, I want to talk a little bit about, we talked about this police department being a dairy at one time. Geez, and I as a farm boy, I grew up on a farm, and when I heard it was a dairy, all I could think about was a cow walking around down the street with a bell on, ding, ding, getting ready to be milked. That's what I thought of. An old dairy. And it's amazing to me, the history on this thing. We took it over in 1968, over 50 years ago. It's an amazing thing. And at one time, the city hall was in there too. When I first came to Moscow in 1977, part of that was city hall, and part of it was the police department. And our police department, this thing has been remodeled, I don't know how many times, but if you want to go into a maze, you got to go down and see those things. I mean, it really, you just got to see it for yourself. Make your own decision. But I'm telling you what, it needs some help. And I got to brag on our officers too, because we've got a number of officers over the years that have remodeled and done own work. And I've been in there and seen what they've done to try to keep this thing put together. For a community coming in, I can tell you what, if I was a parent bringing a student to the University of Idaho, and I was zooming up the south end of town off of 95, one of the first things I would see was a nice, beautiful police department, real close to campus, easy access. That would put a star on my belt about going to the University of Idaho. Just sharing that with you. That's a personal thing, though. And I think that is connotated for us, folks. Okay, is this James now? Is this the chief coming up? You guys need to hear from our chief. Oh, by the way, before we get to the chief, for those of you who don't know, Chief Fry is at the FBI Academy. That was a goal of his, and that's a big thing for an officer to get a chance to go to the FBI. I mean, that's kind of like the gold medal or the Medal of Honor if you're a service guy. That's a big deal. When Chief became our chief, he asked me if he could do this because he knew he was going to get a chance to go with this. And he told me the importance of it and the significance of it. And I got to share with you. I said, absolutely. The deal is if our chief of police is going to be gone for a period of time, we need to have some great people underneath that can be running the show while the chief's gone. Don't you guys agree with me on that one? Well, they're sitting right over there. Tyson Barrett, Will Crassel, and Roger Lanier. They're our captains. And it's been smooth. It's been like, I talked to the chief today and I said, it's like you haven't even been gone. How's that make you feel? and I started laughing, and I tell you, as a manager, as a guy that was a director for a store and did a lot of management things with Safeway, I'll tell you what, as a manager, when you lead your business
and you can leave it for a while, and you come back and that business is either as good as it was when you left or better when you got back, then that tells you you've done the right thing about the people that you've developed and trained underneath. And that's part of our police department, ladies and gentlemen. That's how it is. Anyway, we're going to hear from Chief Fry.
In May of 2019, there will be a bond election, and that bond election will be to fund the building of the facility of the new police department. And you know, that vote is important to us. It's important to our community because it gives us an opportunity to have a building that will actually benefit us for many years to come. There's many reasons why we need a new police station, but we'll start with just the parking situation in the front of the police department. You know, as our officers pull into the police department, they're always having to back out to go to an emergency, which is never a safe thing to be doing. We've been in accidents backing out of our parking spaces here. We're also set up on a cul-de-sac where officers have to back up, then go through the cul-de-sac, and then try to get out onto Washington Street, which is a heavily traffic area. Or they can take an alley route to go to 5th Street. But the problem with that is you have a lot of pedestrian traffic. We have people that work out and they're doing outdoor running and stuff. So we're always in fear of, you know, hitting a pedestrian as we're coming through the alley. So it just slows our response time down.
I got to share with you that lady that was walking out in front of the officer's car. Geez, good thing it wasn't me. I probably would have clipped her. I mean, just saying. Well, you know, come on. It is what it is, and now I like that. Holy smokes, folks. Well, my kids, my youngest, that's a different story for another time. More conversation, but I'm going to open it up for questions, ladies and gentlemen, because this isn't just about me flapping my jaws up here. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited about what we're doing, and I need questions because you're the nucleus. And I will tell you, please go down and see your police line. Yes, sir.
Those numbers don't seem to add for me. Can you help?
Well, right here is the one that this one was wrong just a minute ago.
I had a typo, I just fixed it. Sorry about that.
Jen Pitcher, the police department. Here we go. It's actually 7.717 million. Now, hey, in all fairness to Jen, I got to share something with you, ladies and gentlemen. This lady has done a wonderful job, and do you have any idea how it would be having to talk to me every day about this thing last week? I mean, she wants this thing to be as perfect as it can, and it's doggone good. I think it was a great presentation that she put forward for me. And like I said, I get a chance to come up and just review the numbers and talk about it, which is the easiest thing in the world for me. She had to put this thing together, so I'm real proud of the job she did. Come on, I'm up the stage here. You all get a chance. I'll put this down so I don't glare somebody with a pointer. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to know, the reason the sidewalk on White Avenue is so wide, is that for different vehicles?
Which sidewalk are you talking about?
By Safeway.
Oh, that's a trail. That's a trail. That goes from the fairgrounds down to the intersection of 8 and underneath to, that's part of our pathway process. Is what that is. And that's for bikes, and it's for walkers, and that's for, you know, anybody that wants to jog on there or whatever. So, come on, give me some tough questions. Jerry.
When are you going to have the last of the gravel roads in the city of Marshall?
As soon as that neighborhood gets an LID. How's that? And I got to share something with you, Jerry. In 1977, I bought a house, 309 South Roosevelt, gravel road. And that winter, we had about 3 feet of snow. I bought this house in the middle of winter, and I seen a little bit of gravel on the road, and I thought it was just the guys running around the city, you know, because it was slick and stuff. Well, to my surprise, in May it was gravel road, or in March it was gravel road. And so we tried to get together for years about getting an LID, and at that time, I don't remember how many people were involved. There was 12 of us. It would cost $1,000 a piece, and the city was willing to finance that at no interest. $100 a year. Do you think I could convince people to do it?
And I kept saying, well, I'll improve the value of your house $1,000. I mean, come on. But anyway, long story short, the city doesn't pay those streets. So that's also why we changed the way we do through our zoning. When you have a new development, you're gonna have a street before you have a house built. And so that all changed and evolved over the last 40 years, Jerry. Yes, ma'am.
Is the 1912 Center under the city of Moscow, or is that a separate?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah, we actually own that, and it's part of us, yes.
Are you aware of future plans for that building? I mean, as it evolves, I'm an artist, and I'm interested to know if there might be a future space for artists to exhibit work.
Well, Jenny Construp, who's the manager of that, she works for the arts, for the Heart of the Arts, and they've taken that over and done a wonderful job this last decade or so. And there's a third floor that they're going to be restoring, and like everything else, it's been kind of frugal, but boy, they came a long, long ways on that 1912 building, and it's really, over the last 10 years or so, I can't tell you how much that thing has improved and it's a wonderful, wonderful place. It's a venue for weddings and all kinds of different things. We've had university functions there, city functions there, all kinds of private parties and different things, so we're happy to have it.
I have one more question about, I think it's the, what's it called, Art Walk in June?
Yes.
Are you aware of, does the city get any revenues from that, or?
No, Megan, are you here somewhere?
She's right here.
Oh, there she is. Here's our new arts director right here, Megan Sherman. And what I would suggest, and it's going to be alive and well and grandiose, I would suggest you set up a time where you can meet with Megan. She took Catherine Burns' spot, who retired. And so you two get together on that so she can give you actual information on it. But that's been a part of our culture here in the city of Moscow. That's an event that happens in June, and I've tasked our office, let's do something in July and let's do something in August to make downtown, because I think it's vibrant. We need to have some kind of a function like that as we go along.
I just wanted to say one more thing, and that is I'm sort of in a community of artists, and we're quite aware that, I mean, outside of the university, there are a lot of artists in the area, and there aren't any commercial galleries. And that's something that I would hope that the city of Moscow looks into encouraging, across the nation somewhere, someone who's interested in setting up a commercial gallery. Because there's, outside of the art walk, as I say, if you're a student at the university, Pritchard Gallery pretty much caters to university, and, they have small spaces for artists, but there are a lot of artists in the area. And other communities have, like Lewiston and Clarkston, have commercial galleries, and I would just encourage that be something that you add to your palette of businesses in the area. There's one small commercial gallery that is very limited. It's got a certain clientele, and on North Main, I can't remember what it's called, but I think that the city would really benefit
Well,
from
thank you.
having other commissions there.
Thank you for your comments, and hook up with Megan before you leave.
Yeah.
Okay? Jerry, again?
So we're gonna move the police station. It's gonna be a done deal, I'm with you on that. Who's gonna move?
I need your help.
Yeah, you
Oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, cities, I gotta share this with you, because it's a little anxiety that I do have. In the state of Idaho, you gotta be very careful if you work for the city. You can't do anything on city sites, talking about a bond and all these different things. So you gotta be cautious about that. And so, but I, as the mayor, when I'm outside, I confront, well, I'm gonna speak about it, of course, why wouldn't I? As well as counselors, we can do that as public officials. We can't do that inside any kind of a city facility, which makes no sense, but that is the toughness that we were up against. And this bill, I mean, we need to have 67% vote in order for this thing to pass. And so we're working with folks to make this happen. This kind of started it. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 months from tomorrow is the vote day on this thing, so we got a lot of work ahead of us.
Who's gonna move into the old police department, and what are you gonna do for them?
Well, that's a good one. Community development's part of it, maybe engineering. We've got it figured out what we're doing. We're renting space right now, Jerry, for office but we would like to be able to have our own and just do so we don't have to rent. Shelley, you had the
Third Street Bridge.
Third Street Bridge, well, you know what, we've got a Tiger grant that we're putting in for, so hopefully, the granting monies for it. We put in for that bridge a year ago, as everybody well remembers, in our town. And actually, it was a good conversation, whether you're for the bridge or whether you're not for the bridge. Man, we had all kinds of dialogue in the city, and I think it was a good process how we did it. We went out and thought this thing was gonna cost $580,000. It turned out to be $980,000, and I said, no, we can't, this is too much money. So there's more conversation to come on that, but it's a matter of money on it. And really, there was only 2 people that bid on this thing, and I felt like we were getting raked over the coals, as did the council. So
maybe this year.
well, we'll see how it goes. It's not dead. The bridge that's being put in there is a portable bridge that we can reuse somewhere else, and we know that.
The pedestrian.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So a few weeks ago, I was at a presentation with the county commissioners, and they identified one of the most pressing needs in the county is that our jail is not meeting appropriate standards, safety standards, among other things. And somebody brought up, well, is there any possibility for collaboration between the city and the county? And it was kind of clear that that wasn't going to move forward, but there wasn't a lot of explanation given as to why a collaborative effort couldn't happen to address both the city and the county's needs in one large project if we're moving forward with funding and if the community were to support it. So I don't know if you can help me understand that.
Okay, you'll see. About a decade ago, that was something that we looked into. And at that time, the county backed out of doing it. And there's more to the issue. And I know Richie is here somewhere. Richie, would you like to stand up and just kind of give a now look at the county. We've got 2 different, there are 2 different systems involved here. The county is taxed by the state of Idaho for a jail. The city is not, but there's all kinds of different things. They have their own dispatch system, for example. We've got Whitcomb, and there's some, they like where they're at too, because they're real close to the courthouse, where they can take their captives when they need to be, for lack of a better word, so they can go in there and to the court. So it has been discussed. I discussed this with every one of the county commissioners as well. And someday they know they need to build something, and I don't know what they're going to do, but that's going to be another process as we're going along. But that is why we're not working together. But Richie, would you just stand up? And this is our sheriff tonight, Richie Skiles. He didn't know I was going to put him on the spot, but I talked to Richie about this before as well.
May I sit down now?
Yeah. But I kind of covered it. Didn't I cover that okay, Richie? I mean, that's kind of the conversations that we've had.
There's a lot of different issues over the topic of a joint facility. There's pros and cons. It's technical. Is that fair? It does make sense in some ways. If we could do it in like a duplex type thing where they worked out of one side of the building and we worked out of the other side, and we shared parking lot or whatever, it's doable. It really is doable. And we will be, Dave and I have spent quite a bit of time talking about it. We're at the pretty much the same point Moscow is, but we can't expect to do anything right away. Our jail is old, just like your diagram up here shows. It's like we've done progress the same. If you look at the population growth of the entire Latah County, it's bigger. And in 1970, our sheriff's office was great, and it was perfect, and it was just, but now I have detectives that aren't even in the building, so they are down at the annex building. So we're getting big. The county's getting bigger, and so 30 years ago they were adequate buildings, and now they're not. So can we figure something out? Sure. If we all got together around the table and tried to figure something out, we probably could.
Another point too is that it's going to end up having to be both. You'll see, if you put 2 police stations together, 2 different police stations, you're going to have a bigger building than either one of them need together. So the cost factor is, you're going to have another cost factor involved as well. We know that. And so it's not just, well, if you put it together, you just save money. You may save money on one end, but it's going to cost you more on another end.
if that makes sense to you.
That's a good question. Tyson.
So it is something that we've talked about before, and economically, they cost about the same. And for the city of Moscow to have a police department that's attached to the jail, we need a huge piece of land, and we just can't identify anything that's viable for the city and the county within the city limits, because at the end of the day, we want our police department in our jurisdiction. So that's just another reason. It would take 15 to 20 acres of land. What's that? So roughly 15 acres of land just for the sheriff's office, plus what we have. We're taking up under 2.5 acres of land. So that's another big issue. And again, our functions are a little bit different. At the end of the day, we're all law enforcement, but their major function is housing that jail. They had the option in the past of doing a half a percent sales tax increase, which doesn't exist anymore. And unfortunately, the city doesn't have that option because, like the mayor said, the state mandates that the Lake County Sheriff's Office has a jail, so they have that way of funding it. Unfortunately, that's not available to us. So is that
Thank you for the additional
Yeah.
information.
That's it.
More questions? These are good questions, because these are things that we're gonna run into when people ask us as we're going along over the next few minutes. Well, hey, this has been a good time. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I. And whenever I get a room full of people, I lock the doors and you can't escape. I like it the best. So you got to hear me for an hour and a half, and so from there. But anyway, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. But this is where our city's heading, and I hope you're all happy with the direction we're going. So thank you very much.